Thank you, Jörg, and also thank you, Claudia. I'm really echoing what Claudia said, because our approach for the CAS and combating financial crime and asset recovery is having the same spirit. So why are we offering this course, particularly on combating financial crime through asset recovery? I think we all know, I think all of you in the audience today know about the devastating consequences of financial crimes such as corruption, money laundering, and how they harm economies, how they deprive people from access to education, healthcare, basic quality of life. But what is becoming more and more visible and seriously worrying, as Claudia said, is how these crimes are not directly fueling insecurity, conflict, instability, both nationally but also internationally. And financial crime is no longer just an economic issue. It is becoming, and it is actually a peace and a security issue. So there is growing recognition that investing in asset recovery is not just for the sake of tackling dirty money, but also key to achieve in a fairer, more just and peaceful world where the rule of law prevails and where perpetrators of such offenses, of such crimes, are no longer evading the consequences of their crime. Now, saying that asset recovery is an important tool to fight financial crime is not necessarily groundbreaking. The idea has been around for quite some time now, particularly since the adoption of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2003, which made asset recovery one of its fundamental principles. So it is widely accepted. The idea is there, but unfortunately, the reality in the field tells a completely different story, and statistics are still very much in favor of criminal organizations. And the number of, despite some success stories of returned assets that we see regularly, there's still the vast majority of stolen and illicit funds remain in the hands of a criminal organization and corruption elites. And I think we all understand the grave consequences of having such funds in such hands. So at the Basel Institute, through the International Center for Asset Recovery, for the past almost 20 years, we've been directly engaged on the ground, supporting financial investigation and asset recovery efforts in over 50 countries, either through hands-on and practical training, which we've been doing all over the world in various countries, but also through mentoring on cases, through the providing of policy advices, through counseling on legislative reforms, or taking part in the forum. So this gives us not only the technical expertise, but also a broader perspective and a global perspective on what works, what doesn't, and what can really make a difference. So this course is really about, of course, discussing about the following the money approach and asset recovery as a tool to tackle financial crime, but a very much practice-oriented understanding of global financial crime and methods to trace, identify, and recover illicit funds. So we will make use of the methodology that we've been using in particularly the training team of the International Center for Asset Recovery, which is very practical and hands-on training methodology that addresses real-world situations and provides direct opportunity to apply such skills. So we will capitalize on that, in addition to, of course, a deeper and academic perspective on some of these very serious issues. So we will try to balance practical exercises with a solid grounding in very relevant concepts, but also all the technical innovations from various academic disciplines. And the course will also combine discussions, hands-on activities, e-learning courses, practical assignments, simulated investigation to develop competencies in analysis, problem solving, collaboration, and leadership. So next slide, please. Yes. So, what are the learning objectives? And as Claudia said, also very ambitious. But one of the most important, of course, is to understand financial crime, asset recovery, and how they are connected in an international context. Um, I think we have this understanding of what they are, but how they interact, and particularly how. I mean, the CAS is designed really to go beyond the textbook theory on asset recovery. It's about understanding why and how asset recovery can genuinely help by deterring financial crime, but also by addressing its consequences in helping to repair the damage that is done. We will also cover maybe the know-how. What is the asset recovery process? We tend to when we talk about asset recovery, most people would tend to think about the ultimate phase of asset recovery when assets are returned to the victim country or when the illicit funds or property are being confiscated. But as we know, it is a process that starts even before an investigation at the pre-investigated stage, hence the importance of investigative journalists, financial intelligence units, civil society organizations who play a vital role in in um, in asset recovery. We also actually want for you to create a tailored asset recovery project for your professional context that would be actually for you to identify what is meaningful for you in the area that you're working in. If you are a civil society organization, if you are a judge, if you are a prosecutor, maybe identify a project that would be meaningful where you could apply directly for your work, the knowledge and skill that you have acquired through the CAS. I mean, it could be a policy document, it could be a strategy, it could be a training course, it could be anything that you think that is relevant and helpful and that you can implement directly, because that's what the CAS is all about. It's meant for practitioners to really hoping to achieve an impact and actionable project. So, who can take part in this CES? Next slide, please. So obviously, when we talk about asset recovery, we immediately have in mind the criminal justice practitioners. And within the International Center for Asset Recovery, these are our primary beneficiaries from our training, given the very practice-oriented type of training that we conduct. So this course, the CAS, it's also targeting law enforcement and criminal justice, so that anti-corruption agencies, custom and border protection, police, prosecutor, judges, but also other government and public administration that are involved in financial investigation and asset recovery. That could be financial intelligence units, intelligence and security services, international cooperation units, environmental crime agencies. Also, lawyers are very much relevant as well, particularly those involved in financial crime litigation, AML, CFT, or internal investigation. Private sector is definitely a very important partner in the fight against financial crime and asset recovery, particularly those who are working in financial institutions and related institutions, but also those who are involved in forensic accounting, auditing, digital forensics, and as I mentioned earlier, obviously, non-for-profit organizations, civil society organizations that can provide the necessary support, advocacy in this topic. Yeah, education, academics, researchers are more than welcome to take part. Journalists are playing an increasing role, if not a very major role, in asset recovery. I think we all know about the International Consortium of investigative journalists, who are regularly providing information that are leading to actionable investigations, such as the Panama Papers, the Paradise Papers. Of course, we can also consider participants from other backgrounds, but we really want to bring together a diverse group of participants so that you can learn from each other, from your expertise, and from your experience and your various areas of work. So very much like the first CAS, and the structure is the same. So first of all, yes, we have an introductory module which focuses on financial crime in the 21st century, the phenomena and implication. As you probably all come from various backgrounds, this is really an introduction where we're going to talk about the conceptual foundations and the legal basis and international framework to ensure that we are all on the same page. To look at the next module, we will look at the current landscape when it comes to asset recovery, the significance, all the societal aspects of asset recovery, but also identify all the actors and the phases. And then thematic module A is going to start to be already a little bit practical, but we're going to look at the investigation of financial crime. And what is the foundation actually? When did it start? Where is this follow the money concept started, and what's this all about? We're going to discuss about all the phases of the investigation, the investigative tools and the innovative tools that are available. Of course, the challenges related to investigation and the tracing of assets and how we can tackle them through mutual legal assistance, interagency cooperation, use of more innovative legal concepts such as standalone money laundering, non-conviction-based forfeiture. And this would lead us into the application module, where we're going to try to look at asset recovery in practice. How does it actually work in real life? And thematic module A, and particularly the application module, is going to be accompanied by, in addition to all the theoretical and academic lectures that you will have, with a simulated investigation that we have designed to accompany these modules, where you will be taking the place and being the shoes of investigators, trying to solve a complex corruption and money laundering case, where you will probably better have a better understanding of the challenges and what it takes to trace and identify such assets, but not only that, but how the evidence that needs to be gathered, the strategies that you need to adopt to be able to successfully seize, confiscate, and repatriate them. And we're going to look as well all the asset recovery mechanisms that are available out there, non-conviction-based forfeiture, and alternatives such as out-of-court settlements and all the other asset recovery mechanisms that can be used in various parts of the globe. And finally, on the thematic module B, we're going to have a deeper look at how asset recovery and how we can leverage the asset recovery mechanism to tackle global development and security challenges. We're going to have a closer look at the political economy of asset recovery. What are the incentives? What are the challenges? And we're not just going to look at the technical hurdles of tracing and recovering assets, but we are really going to look at all the other political dynamics and particularly geopolitical stakes when it comes to recovery, and also how countries or regional communities can build sustainable or effective asset recovery regimes. And the conclusion finally is the perspective on what next. Now that We have a global and very deep understanding of what asset recovery is all about. How can we develop a asset recovery regime that works, and particularly looking at the current trends and the new challenges that are emerging. We're talking about particularly now the digitalization of the economy and government, talk about blockchain technology, cybercrime, and how can all these be tackled. And of course, we're going to look at some of our colleagues are going to share some success stories of asset recovery, and how, just to illustrate that indeed it can work. Next slide, sorry. So these are those just some of us that are going to be leading this course. It's going to be myself, the head of training of ICAR, but also my colleagues here present. I'm Claude Scheidegger, a former prosecutor from Switzerland, and also university lecturer at the University of Fribourg. Also my colleague Tomwa Lungembe, from Uganda, a former prosecutor as well, and other Basel Institute and ICAR practitioners and experts in their various fields. And we'll also be assisted by experts and academics from the Basel Institute and the University of Basel, but also specialists from different disciplines from our network. And finally, just at a glance, I think we will start on the 5th of February 2026. And just like the first CAS, it's a duration of 6 months, 300 hours of effort. As Jörg said, 11 to 12 hours per week. And you will be granted a certificate of advanced studies of the University of Basel at the completion of this course. And yes, we're going to have those live online sessions every week, and 2 hybrid sessions. And particularly on this one, there's also going to be some group work related to the solving of the simulated investigation. And just like the first CAS, the tuition fee is 5,600 Swiss francs.